Hey guys, welcome back to BackPocketGameReviews, and today we're going to talk about reasons you shouldn't shop at GameStop. So, I was debating on several different ways to name this video, but this is the reasons that I'm going to go with, and this is the name I'm going to go with. And there's two really big incidents, or things that were brought up on my channel that I really wanted to cover. So around around holiday times at GameStop, they hire a lot of seasonal employees. So a lot of people on Black Friday, it's their first day. If your parents buy you a used game or a gutted game, there is a strong likelihood that when you open that game on Christmas, that employee might have forgotten to put the disc in the box. It happens a lot. As I said, it's a lot of their first days. A lot of them are very overwhelmed. Some of them haven't worked retail before. And none of them are going to stick around typically till next year because they may only work 1 or 2 days a week. Possibly. If that. So being a part-timer at GameStop can be pretty painful. They don't really treat them super well. They don't get a lot of training, and they're just sort of expected to be able to swim the second you toss them in the pool. Doesn't always work that way. Normally it doesn't work that way. There are normally very few that we typically tend to try to keep after the holidays, and normally we only have 2 or 3 employees outside of managers, and that's about it. So then that's reason number 1. That's terrible. It's a terrible way to treat your part-timers, and not getting your game in your box on Christmas, that's pretty depressing. Reason number 2 would be, and this was brought up the other day on my channel, and I couldn't answer it easily without going into too much detail in the comments section, but some people have noticed that GameStop will take new games and sell them as used for higher than what the new game costs. That is correct. GameStop does do that. Xenoblade Chronicles for the Wii and Metroid Prime Trilogy was one of the big ones that was most known about. But the thing a lot of people don't necessarily know about that situation is some of those games weren't being produced anymore. And GameStop was still getting new games because GameStop was producing new copies. Yeah. So, and I did a lot of research into that because I was really curious, because I was like, why are we selling Metroid Prime Hunters or Metroid Prime Trilogy for $80? That makes no sense. It's not like it was that hard of a game to get, and Wii U even eventually put it on the Virtual Console, probably to stop GameStop from doing what they were doing. GameStop is kind of like a plague with the gaming industry on certain things, and that would be one of them. Where they like to sell used games for more than what they cost new. And it's not every game that they do that with, but so essentially what would happen is I would receive a box full of Metroid Prime Hunters or a box of Xenoblade Chronicles, and I would be informed to gut them and display them as if they were used games. That means we would open the packaging. Yep. And that's after the games were out of print. Pretty crazy. Now, and from what I've read, it looks like GameStop was printing more. It could just be that they literally bought all of the stock, knowing that it was a limited run, but I strongly doubt that, because GameStop doesn't always have the best relationship with Nintendo on how many of their products they like to order. Number 3, and this one's a tricky one. So, GameStop likes to force you into pre-ordering. How would they force you into pre-ordering, you might ask? GameStop knows that they're going to sell more copies of a game than what they pre-order, but they want you to essentially learn your lesson by them running out. Skyrim, perfect example. Yeah, we had a bunch of copies. We knew we didn't have enough copies. Our whole district was dry at one point. I think there was like one store that had 3 copies left. They knowingly don't buy that many. Pokemon, we maybe get 3 or 4 extra copies in outside of what was pre-ordered. If you think this is just because GameStop didn't think they were going to sell that well, I did just say Pokemon. We don't get that many in outside of what was pre-ordered. Luigis Mansion, I only had 4 copies and 2 pre-orders. Yeah, Luigi's Mansion was a huge seller. That was one of Nintendo's biggest games. And they tend to do this the most with Nintendo games. But if you were to go over to like a Best Buy or something like that, there's normally plenty of them. It's very rare they sell out of a Nintendo Game Day release. But GameStop, always out. So you'll learn your lesson and you'll eventually pre-order from us is essentially what they believe. Which also is really scary because they just started their own game development company. Should make you very uneasy. I also don't agree with pre-orders, but we'll get into that. So those are the big ones right there. I don't like, essentially this is the way this works too, is they want you to pre-order, they want you to sign up for a rewards card, they want you to buy protection guarantees on your game. And if you don't feel bad about it, they're going to punish the employees who don't get them because you didn't want it. Most companies will not cut your hours or stuff like that due to lacking sales. GameStop will. GameStop is very driven on that, and they pick games that they want you to push. Now, granted, I normally would push whatever game I wanted. They don't care if you're getting pre-orders as long as you're getting pre-orders. But they normally have the game that they want you to push, the game they want to see. They'll have competitions with the employees to see which store can get the most pre-orders. And it's normally Call of Duty. Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto 5, you know, the games that are already going to sell really well. The games that there's absolutely no conundrum about, boy, I wonder how many copies of that game we should buy. So it's a little crooked. It's a pretty shady industry that they run in the way that they run it. Again, I don't hate GameStop. I just don't buy much there. And again, guys, thanks for watching. If you did like the video, drop a like down below. I really like the likes. Also, make sure you subscribe for more content. And there'll be more GameStop videos coming up. We still got plenty more. For the most part, plenty more. Thanks for watching.